Hey, so first of all, good evening everybody, and sincere apologies for being late. We've had some technology type challenges that we've been working through, but we are here right now, and it's better late than never. I think this is the first show of 2021, so also let me just say, hey, Happy New Year to everybody, and wishing that it's going to be better than 2020. It's got to be better than 2020, right? Regardless of how we started off this year, I'm still believing and holding on to the fact that this year is going to be better because, hey, it all starts in the mind and we've got to make this better. So, welcome again to Biz Talk, first one for 2021. As you know, this is the show for black economic empowerment and business improvement, brought to you by Circulate. As you know, Circulate exists to increase the number of times that money, i.e. the black pound, stays or circulates within the black community and the length of time that money stays within our communities. My name is Ade Shakoya and I will be bringing this conversation to you, but really it's not about me, it's about the people in the community doing great stuff. And today I'm honored to have a brother, I call him my brother, on this show. I'll give you a little bit of backdrop to how we met. I think I met him in about 2001, 2002, when I first picked up a phone to contact an organisation called the 100 Black Men of London. If any of you have heard me talk about before, when I was going through my transition in life and becoming much more of a positive person, and then starting recognising, actually, you know what, I wanted to start give back to the community. Reached out. I was paired with this brother, unfortunately for him, right? And he became like my mentor. We delivered many years of community programs together. I've been blessed to be able to learn from him, to be inspired by him, and he's one of the contributors to my road to boardroom template, which I talk about many times. So, without further ado, I'm honoured and blessed to have my brother on the show, David Okoro. Hello, David. Can't hear you. You might need to unmute somewhere, somehow. I think he's saying he's trying to unmute, but he can't see where. I'm just doing the voiceover, right? Don't worry, we'll work for the technology. But whilst we're doing that, what I'm going to do is show you a video, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So, and that will give David about 4 minutes to figure it out.
Yeah. Sing what? We are the Young Leaders Academy.
Students are put through the drill at the Westside Young Leaders Academy, a Saturday program delivering educational and personal development support. The directors explain the ethos and aims of the academy.
So my name is David Okoro, and I'm one of the directors of the Westside Young Leaders Academy. We set up the academy around 4.5 years ago, and we set up the academy as a response to some of the challenges that black boys are facing, not only in Brent, but London-wide, and we wanted to provide some sort of response to that.
Did you enable the microphone when the browser prompted you? Try to do a refresh in your browser and see what happens. It should prompt you.
3-4 years ago.
Well, no, just do a refresh on the browser. It should enable the sound. No, if you just do a refresh on the browser. The video is showing fine. It's just obviously something to do with the browser.
So we released a home base from which to work from, and we can impact on these young girls' lives. So we did that, and we're just making a difference really, brothers. You know, we've got many different things to do with identity, history, current affairs, but giving them, letting them see it through their own eyes, really, and provide a place whereby, as I said, we've got positive, strong black role models for the boys.
The aim of the academy is to provide a space where young leaders, black young leaders, can be generated and supported. Right across London, right across the UK, we see some of our black boys in crisis, and we felt as black men, we had to respond to that and provide a safe space where they could come, learn how to be leaders, learn a variety of other skills that will help them to be stronger men and also be competitive in the job market.
We want to impact and basically positively build every aspect of their lives on the school.
Might be doing something to do in your browser because this is using the web browser.
Can be very kind of difficult and sometimes dangerous for younger.
So if you refresh the browser, see what happens.
You
You get prompted again.
And supporting them as that. Help successfully with their family lives. Right? Try and help and make them a little bit more efficient, make that. We want to support their parents. As I say, it takes a village. We just want to be an aspect of their lives, helping them to succeed. So we will do self-expression. We'll have different terms based on different themes. Self-expression. We're based on history. We're based on finance, on entrepreneurship.
We have a variety of different programs that we provide here. So, for example, we have a mentoring program. Short-term mentoring program, a long-term mentoring program, where we match the boys with
Can you hear the video though? Yeah.
help them in their careers,
Okay,
or
cool.
help them in school, or help them with the challenges that they're going to face.
So just try and refresh the browser and see what
We have a
happens.
fitness program as well. So most of our young people now are stuck in front of screens on a sofa. So we
Try and refresh the browser. Just try and refresh the browser and see what happens. Can you hear me, David?
practical, physical.
Try and refresh the browser and see what happens.
And
Okay.
also one of the things that we are going to start in 2017 is a program called Young Leaders Serve, and that's where the boys will be going out and serving their communities, acting as volunteers for organisations who need help. It could be on a one-off occasion, or it could be a long-term relationship, but they will be supporting initiatives taking place in the community. And we strongly believe.
Let me see. Go on, speak.
As black men, whether you're a young black man or an older black.
No, because your bottom would be. See, like at the bottom, you got those dashes. They would be. I've muted you and I'm unmuted you. They would be like going green. You can see with my one when I'm talking, you can see it's green. Yeah. Log out and log back in. Alright, cool. And if not, we'll figure it out. Yeah. Alright, bro. Awesome. So there you see the video for the Westside Young Leaders Academy with my man David Okoro. We're still having a few challenges with just some of the technology right now, so apologies. This is what happens when you stream live, and that's the reality of life. So we're just waiting for David to rejoin. I'm hoping that we don't have to reschedule the show, because I do believe that there's a lot of great stuff that we're going to be covering today. But if we have to, then we have to. So once again, it is all good. So feel free to type in the chat. I think the chat might be enabled, so just feel free to type into the chat, join the conversation. Like I said, we'll do our best to make this work. Ultimately, we're always at the hands of technology, and I could try and sing, I could try and dance, but I think that will make it a lot more painful for you guys, because that's just not my skill sets. So let's just see now if we can actually reconnect with David and whether we can hear him. So give it a shot.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yay! Technology. Yay!
Fantastic.
We got there. See, perseverance pays off. Awesome.
We got there in the end.
We got there in the
I
end.
apologize.
Hey, no apology needed, brother. Say again?
I don't know what's happening with our technology.
Hey, look, technology's on one. That's just basically it. The world's upside down right now. You can't even trust anything. You put on the kettle right now, toast comes out of it. It's just a crazy world. It's just one of those ones. But anyway, brother, so thank you for joining us. So for those who are watching right now who, first of all, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And don't worry, all of this rest of the stuff, when I edit it, we'll edit it out, but it's live anyway, so people get what they get. That's how it goes.
My name is David Okoro, and I am originally from Liverpool. I've been living in London for well over 20 odd years now. And I first met Ade in about 2002, as you mentioned before, as part of the 100 Black Men of London. I was one of the original founders of the 100 Black Men of London. And we were blessed that Ade joined us in 2002. And he made a fantastic contribution to the lives of the young people who we worked with then, and continue to do so now. So, it's a pleasure to know my brother.
Awesome, thank you very much, brother. And the pleasure is really mine. Do you know what I mean? I'm the one who feels the most blessed. in all of this. But yeah, let's talk about a little bit more. So that was the video there of the Westside Young Leaders Academy. What is it? What is the...
Yeah, so basically we are a Young Leaders Academy. We set up back in 2012. And the reason why we set up the academy was because we were concerned about the outcomes for black boys at the time. At the moment, we are a boys and girls academy, which I'll get to later on. But yeah, when we set it up, it was a boys academy because, brother, all of the outcomes for black boys, especially in London, were negative. Whether that was outcomes from educational outcomes, whether it was contact with the police and the criminal justice system, or whether it was employment, our boys ran quite low in all of those outcomes. So we decided to do something about it. Or actually, we decided to try and put something together that would support our boys and provide them with positive role models and with opportunities that would enable them to fly. And that's why we set the academy up. So our focus is on leadership, but also our focus is on bringing out the genius in our young people, because we believe all of our young people are geniuses. We don't care what other people think. We believe our young people are geniuses, and our role is to bring that genius that is within and bring it without, and also to make sure that our young people have the necessary confidence and self-esteem, and more importantly, which is the foundation, a fundamental understanding of the knowledge of self, who they are, where they come from, and where they're going. So, in a nutshell, that's what the Westside Young Leaders Academy is.
So you touched on a few things there, and I'd like to just possibly maybe explore them a bit more. You spoke about some of the challenges that young black boys face. Why are those challenges unique to black boys? Surely that's just like boys in general.
Not necessarily, no. I mean, some of these challenges are also similar to black girls, but I think overall, as black people, we have to be honest. We live in a hostile environment, and we have to be real about that. This is a hostile environment for us. It's a hostile environment that is underpinned by institutional racism and white supremacy. And through our lives, as a young man, I was targeted by the system. I'm sure you were. I'm sure lots of other men, when they look back at their experience, they will identify how the system targeted them, whether that was through discrimination, whether it was through stereotyping, or whether it was just through racism and prejudice. And allied with all of that was a general low expectations of us, especially in school. I don't know about you, brother, but when I was 16, I went to my careers officer, all big and bulky. I said to my careers officer, I want to be a pilot. I want to be a pilot. Because she asked me what do you want to be when I leave school, and I said, Nick, I want to be a pilot. And she kind of looked at me and smiled. You know that kind of sympathetic smile.
Bless you.
Yeah. Oh, David. Said, David, you're a big lad. You're good at sport. Why don't you just concentrate on sport? And you know what? I was so stupid at the time. I think she was actually doing me a favour. She was on my side and in my corner. But really, she had such a low expectation of me that she didn't believe that I could do anything other than somebody who was good at sport or in some kind of manual occupation. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be a pilot. So that kind of created some confusion, within my head. I never continued my dream in terms of being a pilot. I did focus on sport for a while. I had a trial for Liverpool Football Club. Not a great deal came of that. Never mind. I'm still an Arsenal man, but anyway.
A couple of my brothers are they're supporters as well, so still love them, but hey.
Exactly. People who have got sense. People who have got sense. So that was my experience, the kind of low expectations, constantly targeted in school. If I did something wrong, and one of my white counterparts did something wrong, the finger would be pointed at me. I would be the one who would be sent to detention. I would be the one who got the internal exclusion. even leading to an external exclusion. And that experience is similar for our boys right now. This is not something that that happened in ancient history. Our boys are going through that same experience right now, and I know that because I work in schools.
Of course.
And through my work with the 100, my work with Westside Young Leaders Academy, my work with Voyage, and then other organisations, I speak to our young people, especially boys, and they talk about that similar experience about being targeted, low expectations, excluded from school, ended up going to people referral units. So when I talk about the hostile environment, that's what I'm talking about. And I haven't even talked about the police. And we all know what happens in terms of how much more difficult it is for black people in general to find employment, especially if you have what's classed as a foreign-sounding name. It's much more difficult, when you send in your CV or you send in your application form. That's the one that usually ends up at the bottom of the pile. So there are all of these obstacles that are placed in our way, and especially in the way of black young people and black boys in particular. And unless they are given some kind of training and some kind of knowledge about these obstacles and how to overcome them, they can quickly become victims to the hostile society that we live in. And that's one of the things that we do at Westside. One of the things that we do at Westside is try to prepare our young people for the society that they live in. That doesn't mean that we tell them that they are inferior. That doesn't mean that we tell them that or we try and make them paranoid. But what it does do, it gives them a proper understanding of what the odds are, what the barriers are that they will face, and how they can overcome those barriers.
Awesome. Now, yeah, I mean, I think you hit some key points there, and some of them I would like to expand on. But something interesting that you said there was about, the whole thing about CVs. And I remember when I was starting my career, when I used to send it out with Ade Shakoya, I would get no responses or very minimum responses. And then I ran an experiment. I changed my name to Andy Shakoya. All of a sudden, the same people I sent my CV to, they would call me. They would like me, we'd get a conversation, and then when it would come to the point of contract, I'd be like, oh, my name's Ade. And they'd be like, oh, well, how come you put Andy on the CV? And then when I explain it to them, some of them would be like, you know what, for real, we get it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's also worth... So then?
And brother, this is not, black people just being bitter. And because there is research that backs that up. I'm trying to remember which Russell University carried out the research. I think it was one of the London ones. But it might have even been Oxford University. And what they did, they sent off CVs and application forms in foreign-sounding names to employers. And they sent exactly the same CV with an English-sounding name. And the CVs that got, or the people who were contacted were those who had the English-sounding name. Even though this CV was identical to Ade Shakoya, if your name was Willie Smith, you were more likely to get an interview. And there's lots of evidence that backs that up, not just what was recently done by, I think it was Oxford University, but there's a whole stream of evidence going back over 30 or 40 years that says if you have a name that doesn't sound British, whatever that is, then it's much more difficult for you to find employment.
And it's also worth us working out or pointing out, especially from my perspective, I believe this is that institutional racism affects the whole of society. Because there are some people, and I know many people who, like Caucasian people, who also, when they sit down, they're not racist, but they accept that they've been so conditionally biased to have low expectations or to do things automatically that they demonstrate that behavior, and it's only when it's kind of brought to their attention they're like, wow, I didn't even realize I do that. And also, if we're honest, in some ways, even in our own community, we do it ourselves to each other, right?
Brother, if we're being real, institutional racism also impacts on us and how we see ourselves as individuals and how we see our communities. And I'm sure we've all come across brothers and sisters who work in corporate or work in multi-white institutions who sometimes adopt that white supremacy and they don't even realise that they've adopted it. It's just become part of their culture.
Survival. Okay, so And so you mentioned about black girls as well. What type of challenges, and I believe now you've incorporated girls into the academy, is that correct?
That's correct. We started the Girls Academy towards the end of 2019, and it was fully integrated in 2020. And we're going quite well until obviously COVID. So, but I would say our girls have similar issues, although I think there are other societal problems that impact upon them, especially when it comes to this, what is beauty.
Okay.
And society's definition of what is beauty doesn't necessarily involve black women. And that impacts upon our girls. And also I think our girls are, I think there's an over-sexualization
of
our girls as well, especially in our pop culture, where our girls are expected to be physical beings as opposed to mental and intellectual beings. They're told that they should rely more on their body shape than their intellect. And that creates a lot of pressure for our girls as well.
So to me, I'm glad you touched on that. To me, that's another example of where institutional racism affects us, affecting ourselves, because a lot of the artists that we see, the music that we see out there, and once again, that's a whole nother discussion in regards to that industry where they're pumping out the same thing nearly 20, 30 years on, but people are still lapping it up, which is reinforcing that, right? When you have your Nicki Minaj's, don't sue me, and all those other people out there, right, who kind of perpetrate that, then unfortunately these are the role models that our young girls are seeing as well, right?
That's right, and that's the role models that that's being pushed upon them. That's what they're being taught to see. And there are plenty of role models in our community of strong, positive black women, but that's not what the media wants to display and demonstrate. What they want to display and demonstrate is the sexualized image of the black woman, because it makes money as well.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me started on the media, because for me it's always a case of, actually, I don't want to talk about them as a media. It's more, why don't we own the media? Based on the fact that we have so much money in our community, why are we not owning our own media, ensuring that we can control the narrative? And I guess now that we're moving into the fourth industrial revolution, where you've got online platforms like this, I guess we have a little bit more say. But I always look at it from that point of view, that, well, we know what that is.
Definitely. I agree.
Why are we not creating something different?
I agree.
Awesome. So, a little bit more about the academy. So, how did it used to run? Was it like every Saturday? Was it like a full day? Walk us through it.
We ran every Saturday morning till early afternoon. We would start at 10 and finish after 1 o'clock. And that took place every Saturday during term time. We also started to run an after-school program that was located in a community centre in Brent, and also in one of the local secondary schools as well. So that enabled us to impact upon more young people who were not able to engage with our Saturday Academy. And all of that was going really, really well until COVID. So what we had to do is we had to move a lot of our activity now online.
Okay, and how's that going for you guys?
It's going really well. So we have we moved our Saturday sessions to a Saturday still, but a little bit later, and now it takes place over Zoom. But also one of the things that we started to do that worked out really, really well is that we started to deliver an Instagram live session, and what that did, it linked our community and our young people in particular with some positive role models. And some of them are people who have got a high profile in the media. And so it's people like, Eddie Nesta, Sean Wallace from The Chase, Okoro, Brendan Amana, and Judith Jacob, Eddie Nesta, Ashton Jackson, Melanie, Hollywood actor, Suave Clayamar, and so many of these positive role models, positive images, who would share their stories with our young people and their families and other people in the community, and give some practical advice as well back to our young people. If you wanted to be an entrepreneur, if you wanted to get into acting or into drama or into broadcasting, or whatever occupation it was, they would give really powerful and solid information and advice as to how our young people could undertake those careers and occupations. So that was really good, and we did that for about 5 or 6 months. And we had thousands and thousands of views of our Instagram live videos. That was excellent. Also, we moved our sports program on live as well. So during the summer months in particular, we ran an online sports program. We have a sports program which is called Fit to Lead. So what we tell what we say to our young people is that it's if you want to be a leader, you have to have a fit body and a fit mind. And as you know, brother, a lot of our young people and adults, we sit down with a screen on our laptop in our hands. And during the last few months in particular, when people were asked to play indoors, that's had an impact not only on our mental health, but also on our fitness level. So we introduced the sports program in the summer. We're reintroducing that again because it's really important that our children engage in physical activity. So we moved that online as well. We moved our parents program online, our parents university program. All of that's moved online. Some of our mentoring program has moved online as well. So yeah, we just had to be flexible and mix and blend and move as much as we possibly can online. It has impacted on the way we work, but unfortunately that's what we have to do. And what happened as well initially is that many of our young people didn't have access to the technology to take part in online sessions, whether that was through the work that we do, or whether it was with engaging with the school program. So we were able to raise some money and beg and borrow about 12 new computers, 12 new laptops, in order to give them to our young people so that they could engage with us and engage with their education as well.
Yeah, no, I could totally relate to what you're saying. I mean, I'm sure many people can as well. In regards to the change in our lifestyle and how that impacts our health. So before, I would now work from home. My commute to work is now like 30 seconds. Whereas before it was a couple of hours. If I was working abroad, it'd be maybe a day's worth of travel. So I'm not getting around as much, and that's also why I think I might need to write to Boris as well to report my stomach, because the 6-pack doesn't seem to be listening to the self-isolation rules. It's really, do you know what I mean? So I need to have some conversations with him. Okay, so how is the YLA funded then?
Well, initially when we started...
WYLA, sorry. WYLA, yeah.
Initially when we started, our plan was to be independent in terms of funding and rely on the community to support us. And that worked okay. It was a bit hairy at times. But what we wanted to demonstrate to our community and to our young people in particular is that we should be able to rely on ourselves. We should be able to support each other. We shouldn't have to go to the council or to the local authority for money, because we know what generally happens then. You get money for a year or two and then the money is taken away. And that worked really well for us. But then as we began to expand the programs that we offer, the community couldn't keep up with the resources that we needed.
Okay, no, bro, let's unpack this, right? Let's really unpack this. Is it really that the community couldn't? Because, I mean, like I say, right, consumer annual spend is 30 billion, right? Well, there you go, 30 billion, right? We go on Facebook, we go on places, we complain about the system, we complain about everybody else, right? But here's my experience, and feel free to, I think we experienced it in the 100 and some of the other community programs that I look at. It's like, yeah. Time to put money in your pocket to fund it. What's all that about? I mean, let's call it what it is. What's all that about?
It's true, but let's be real. Sometimes we say that there's a great deal of money in the community, but I think I read somewhere that the black pound circulates in our community for about 7 hours.
Yeah, less than 24 hours.
Sorry?
Less than 24 hours, yes.
Yeah. Before it goes elsewhere. And this is just another example of that. And it is something that winds me up, and it has done for as long as I've been involved in community activism. Because we spend our money everywhere else but on ourselves. And then we wonder why sometimes within the position that we are and that we don't have strong organisations.
But let's even take it. Let's take it a bit deeper. It'd be different if we just wondered, but the community is very vocalised. Why are they not doing that? Why are they this? Why is that? Oh, they did this. Da 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 da. So that's what
I agree. I agree. And one of the things that we do is that we're great at complaining about some of this stuff. We're just not particularly good at supporting the organisations or the individuals who are trying to work with our young people or work with the community in general.
Awesome. So yeah, you were saying, so after, for whatever reason, then so the funding had to come from other sources, I guess.
Yeah, so what we did, like other charities, we started to apply to charitable trusts for funding, and we received some funding from the Young Brent Foundation, from the City Bridge Trust, from the lottery, and that's enabled us to run more programs. It helped us to run our summer program. It helped us to buy laptops for our families and for our young people. It even enabled us to run our after school program as well. If we didn't have that support, we couldn't do that. And it helped us to raise some money to provide food vouchers to our families who were in need.
Okay.
So it meant that we had to compromise on some of our principles, but it has allowed us to do a lot more.
Of course.
And ultimately, that's the most important thing.
Of course. No, I appreciate that. Now, I believe you mentioned it kind of loosely before. I believe that as an academy, you also collaborate with a number of other community programs. So community programs like Manhood Global, Mad Academy Global, which two and a half of my sons on there. I say 2.5 because my 10-year-old and my 8-year-old attend. And then my 6-year-old kind of pops in, pops out, depending how he feels. Right? Yeah. So I've got 2.5 boys on there. And so big shout out to Brother Davis, Brother Dennis, Brother Colin, and all those other brothers out there doing some great work. And also I believe that you do some collaboration with organisations like Origin. Here's another question. Considering their strength is in numbers, right? And then by pooling our resources together, we could have much more impact.
Yes.
Why do you think more community programs, I'm not just talking about for young boys and in general within our black communities, don't just come together, pull together and work together to be able to have a broader impact?
I think that more community organisations are beginning to realise that there's strength in numbers, especially as they become more under attack. So for example, organisations like Sisters Place and other organisations who've been under attack from the local authorities or the authorities in general, and other community organisations have rallied to their support. So I think it's happening. What's not happening, or what needs to happen more, is our vision. So at the moment, I think there's a lack of vision in terms of what we can achieve when we come together as community organisations. And I think sometimes as well, brother, we can't see the wood for the trees. When you are involved in these organisations, sometimes you're so stuck in the trenches doing the work that you forget to lift your head up and see what's happening beyond the trenches. And then when you begin to do that, you see other like-minded individuals and organisations like you are trying to do similar things. And it is about reaching out to those organisations, starting to have a dialogue. And that's what we do. We work with, or we engage with so many different organisations. We try and work with so many different organisations, not just in Brent, but right around the city and even beyond. And I think also something else which is quite detrimental as well to that collaborative work are the current funding structures. So the current funding structures encourage what's the word I'm looking for?
Competition.
They encourage competition. So when you're applying for funding, you recognise that, boy, for me to get this funded, I have to compete against another organisation. So then it's difficult for you to collaborate. For some, anyway, it's difficult to collaborate if you know you're going to be working on similar funding proposals, and there might be an element of reluctance to share ideas, just in case organisation A says, well, I've just found out what they're doing, let me add that to my funding application. And that I believe is also one of the good reasons that prevents that really positive, collaborative work that can make a difference. Man, if we can work together more effectively, the difference we would make would be astronomical. And it's about us having that vision. And it's about us trusting, loving and respecting each other as well. And we have to be real, sometimes that can be a challenge within our community for a wide variety of reasons. Some for what I've just mentioned, some because of egos or because of hidden agendas. But we need to start to overcome that foolishness, and that's definitely the agenda that we're on at Westside. We're happy to work with any organisation who believes in the liberation of our community and the uplifting of our young people.
Now, I appreciate you sharing that, and my thing, and sometimes it's not palatable for quite a lot of people. My thing is simply this: empowerment lies with us.
Correct.
I have this analogy that I say to people. I say that if a thief comes into your house, messes up at your house, and actually does a doo-doo on the floor, when you come home, do you sit there and say, oh, I didn't do it, so therefore I'm going to wait for the thief to come back and clean my house? Or do you clean up your house and then try and go and hold him accountable? And for me, it's like, okay, we know all of these things are out there, but, when I say these things, and it's not to berate our community in a negative way, but it's for us to start looking in that mirror and saying, actually, come on, a lot of this stuff, yes, circumstances put us here, but a lot of this stuff we can, if we start working together, if we start putting our funds in the right place, if, like you said, bringing our resources together, we can have a colossal impact. We could get there a lot sooner.
Yeah, I agree. I think the solution to our issue, or problems, if you want to call them that, lie within our community. It doesn't lie within the government. It doesn't lie within the council. It doesn't lie within any of those structures or any of those people. It lies within us. And I think, when we begin to recognise that, and also when we begin to recognise our power as individuals and as a community, that's when we'll start to make a change. And that's why the work that we do with our young people is so important, because we want our young people to realise this, to understand that any issues that we have as a community, the solutions lie within the community. We don't have to go to the government or the council or whoever. We can solve them within the community by working together, by respecting each other, by trusting each other, by loving each other. We can overcome some of these issues and some of these problems. If we start to teach our young people that from a young age, it then becomes part of their DNA, and they then begin to operate in that way. Whereas many of us haven't really found this out until much later on in life. And sometimes by then, the white supremacist is already fully ingrained within our psyche, within our mentality.
So sometimes we've got to kind of look in that Jehovah's window and look at self, right? And it's interesting what you also said about young people, right? Young people, in my opinion, they see right through hypocrisy. And I don't know about your experience as well, but even my experience of working with gangs and even the time that I spent in the gang, a lot of the time the young people are saying, well, you lot are telling us to do this, but you're not providing us any opportunities. Look at how you're living. Forget what you're talking about. We're doing it our way, right? And then we spend a lot of time saying, oh, our young are lost, and look at them, and they're doing all these crazy things, but surely at some point we've got to set a better template, a better example, and a better example of actually what it looks like, not just by talking, but actually by demonstrating it, creating opportunities, creating jobs, creating all the type of stuff that enables them to be able to step into that.
But brother, if you remember, one of the things that we used to say in the 100 is what they see is what they will do. So our young people are a reflection of us to a certain extent, and that might be hard to listen to and to agree with, but that's the reality. What our young people see is what they will be. So we want to reflect something, make it better for them to look up and look up to and see, and that's what we try and do at Westside.
Awesome, great stuff. So you're talking about leadership. So why is it so important to teach our young people leadership?
Well, I think it's important for a number of reasons. I think one is leadership gives you so much confidence and self-esteem. And confidence and self-esteem, for me, brother, like a superpower. let's not get it twisted. Was it Marcus Garvey who said, with confidence you have already won? And that's the kind of mentality that leadership gives you. It gives you that confidence. It makes you feel, man, I can do anything. I can do anything. And I can do anything. But it also teaches you some more other fundamental skills like, resilience, good communication skills, good teamworking skills, which are great for school, great for higher or further education, and great for the career, and really good for entrepreneurship, which is something that we try and teach our young people. We want our young people to be independent thinkers. That's what leaders are. Leaders are independent thinkers. That doesn't mean that it's all about you and you're just on your island. It just means that you're able to think for yourself. When you're a leader, it stops you from being part of the crowd. You don't follow the crowd. And I know from my work with clients, part of the problem is people who've got low confidence and self-esteem who just automatically follow the crowd, regardless of what the crowd is doing. Brother, for me, leadership is being not afraid to stand out, not being afraid to stand out and stand on your own 2 feet. That's why leadership is important. And that's why our young people need to learn and understand leadership. But the first thing that they need to understand about leadership is not about you leading other people and people following you. That's not really the role of a leader. It's about you. It's fundamentally about you first and foremost. The first person you need to lead is yourself. And then you provide an example and a role model for others. That's a teaching we teach our young people too. It's about you first, and then other people will follow you based on your positive example.
I'm also aware that at Westside Academy you take the young people out as part of their leadership training or initiation or whatever we want to call it into the community to serve. To me, that's definitely the sign of a servant leader. Do you want to talk a bit more? Why is it important that leaders should also know how to serve?
I mean, we have a program which is called Lead to Serve, and it is about our young people giving back. And that's important. Our young people, one of the things that we say to them is that it's a privilege to be on a program like this. I didn't have this opportunity when I was young. I'm not sure about you, brother, but I didn't have an opportunity where I had black men and women who were giving up their time to help me to be a better person. What? If I would have had that, brother, some of the challenges that I went through when I was a young person, some of the pain, some of the struggles, I wouldn't have had that if I had, people like yourself and other positive black people who were giving back to the community and giving back to me as an individual. But also, part of the Lead to Serve program is about making sure that our young people realise that they are connected with something much bigger, apart from themselves and their family. They are part of a community. And if they want their community to be better, they have to do something about it. Part of that is giving back. Part of that is giving a positive role model within your community and using what time you have to make your community better. That's the example that we set, and that's the example that we want them to follow. It is about showing them that our community needs you. Our community needs you as young people. So use your energy, use your skills, use your passion, and give that back to the community. And they work with, homeless people in the community. But one of the most powerful things our young people have done is the work they've done with African and Caribbean elders. Oh man, that was just so powerful. They worked with African and Caribbean elders, and they went to the day centre that they use called the Nubian Life Centre, and one of the occasions when they went there, they just sat down and talked with our elders. Man, that is so powerful. And some of our young people don't have grandparents. And for them to sit down and talk to another person, it was so powerful for both parties. The young people really enjoyed it. Our elders really enjoyed it as well. They were sharing experiences and sharing stories. They were giving our young people advice. It was so powerful. But our young people as well, They helped to clean up the building that they used. They planted flowers and vegetables. They built furniture. Oh man, it was awesome. It really was awesome. And the young people left feeling fulfilled. They really did feel, you know, I've done something really good today. And I had an opportunity to speak to one of our elders who was talking about what it was like living here in the 50s and the 60s, and what it was like living in Jamaica or living in Ghana or Nigeria. It was beautiful. So we want to encourage more of that. We want our young people to try and work with other community organisations and support them through their voluntary work.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds very, very powerful. Maybe before we wrap up, we'll get a chance to just expand and see how those in the community might be interested, might be able to get behind that and support more of those initiatives. But we keep on using the word community as well. So I'm going to ask you two questions here. Do we really have a black community? And if we do, where, in your opinion, is the leadership in our black community?
We have black community. We don't have one black community. It's not one homogenous group. There are various black communities, and some of them are more successful than others in terms of how we operate. What we need to have as a black community is a common understanding. A common understanding is what our needs are and how we meet our needs. What is it we have to do as a community in order to meet those needs? And just to maybe answer your second question, where is that leadership? That leadership is actually all around us. I see leaders every day. Sometimes we need to move away from the kind of Malcolm or Marcus image of leadership, because we don't necessarily have that. But it's about first and foremost looking at the leader within you and seeing how you can make a positive impact within your community. And there are different types of leaders and different types of leadership. There are leaders within every home. There are leaders within all of the different types of community that I'm talking about. What we don't have is that common understanding as to what we want and how we get it. That really, I think, is what we need to try and understand and try to get to. What is it we all want as a community? Because that's the real brother. There are some similarities, but there are also some differences as well, based on the different communities we come from. You know, my needs as a Somali young person might be different to my needs as somebody who's got Caribbean heritage. With the same people, but you know, there are differences within our community. And we have to recognise that as well. We're not just one homogenous group. But just going back to answer your question, there are leaders within our community, brother. There are lots of them. Sometimes as a community, we don't support those leaders. Sometimes as a community, we don't elevate those leaders as well. But they are out there, and they are working without very little recognition and very little support. Left sometimes to hang out to dry.
No comment on that one, but yes, I hear you on that one. And I guess that's...
Comment.
Yeah, I mean, look, typically sometimes, for me, it feels like there's that kind of, you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. People don't want to step up, so the person who steps up and sacrifices it all, people step back, is attacked. You know, look at that, look at this, look at that. And like you said, as soon as they make a mistake, because they're human beings, or they're not getting the support that they need, so they're trying to take on too much and they might stumble, then people are like, see, yeah, which doesn't necessarily really help us. And to me, I do believe, yes, I agree that we have many leaders. I also do feel that, I agree that we may not need a Malcolm X or Martin Luther King type thing, but if we start thinking strategically, even down to things like boycotts, right? How do boycotts happen in the community? Via text. No one doesn't know where it comes from. No one doesn't know what the starting point is. No one knows what the end point is. No one knows what the objective is. Just like, oh yeah, boycott them. Why? Because it's a text. Do we need some leadership that actually starts helping us to align our resources, to align our programs towards a strategic outcome? And yeah, it'd be interesting.
I think, brother, that's happening at a micro level. It's how we make that a macro level. That's the difficult next step. And also, Allied to that, we need a lot more political and economic leadership included in that as well. It can't be in different silos.
Correct.
There has to be that kind of caucus, that kind of gender caucus of black leadership, of African Caribbean leadership within our country, within our communities. That does have that alignment. And I see it happening, but it's more at a macro level. How we get it to that level that really makes it, that really makes a strategic difference. That's the challenge. That's the challenge, brother.
All right, brother. As we start wrapping up, so I'm gonna ask you a personal question. So, for as long as I've known you, which is what, you come up to about 20 years now. Wow.
Yeah.
Nearly 20 years. Wow. And you're still looking as young as day one. But as long as I've known you, and obviously, before that, you have been involved in community work. You have a family, you have a business, but you're still involved in that. What drives you? What drives that level of commitment?
I don't want to be the kind of person who just stands by and complains. I just can't be that guy. I can't be that guy. I've been involved in community activism from the age of 14. And one of the things that inspired me as a young man living in Liverpool was the Chocolate riots. And after the Chocolate riots, from a community level, there was a lot of upheaval. There was an attempt to organise. And I was blessed that I was, even as a teenager, I was taken by my foster carer to black community events where I've seen elders and older people, adults, who were passionate about the community, who were sacrificing the time, to try and defend people who've been brutalized by the police. And to think, wow, why are you getting involved in this? What's this got to do with you? And I was kind of fascinated by it. But also, brother, I see it as my duty as a black man, regardless of what other pressures I've got. I see it as my duty as a black man to give back to my community. It's my duty. It's not a burden. It's my duty. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. And brother, if not us, then who? Who are we waiting for? Because everybody wants to stand aside and say, well, somebody else will do that. If we all do that, brother, man, our community is going to be even in a worse state. We're going to leave our children open to even worse abuses and attacks. And I just think that there's lots of people like me in our community. Maybe not as many as what we need, but there are lots of people like me, lots of us, man, who are selfless, who are dedicated to our community, and are prepared to make sacrifices. And that's what drives me.
No, I hear you, brother, and you're somebody who lives it, so I totally appreciate it. I can't only begin to count and wonder the number of young people who have benefited from your commitment and your investment. So yeah, hat off to you, brother. And yeah, like you said, there's many men and females within our communities who are actively doing this work, and don't do it for recognition, don't do it for financial gain, because let's be honest, there's not that much recognition involved in it, because like we said, the people who lift you up are quick to pull you down and rip you apart. And for the most part, when you're giving it away, yay, it's lovely, but the moment you ask for donations, it's like yes, I'm gonna pay for my Netflix. Anyway, let's not even go to that, but all the other bits and pieces that go with it. So I hear you, brother, I hear ya. So just as we start to wrap up, let me just quickly share some of your details. So if people want to contact you, website, that's your website there. Right. Yeah, catch you. So if you want to find out more about Westside Young Leaders Academy and the great work that they're doing, to go to www.wylauk.com. There you get a chance to see some of the programs. You'll be able to contact them. Also, for any people out there, I believe as part of your mentorship partnering, you're often looking for people who may have some form of career, some form of, value. So this once again goes out to community. We don't have to be doing great things in order to make a difference, right? All you gotta do is just spend a moment with a mosquito to understand how size doesn't really matter. We can have a real big impact. And so, you know, part of what the Westside Young Leaders Academy does is try to pair young people with adults who can actually guide them in terms of certain careers, entries into certain careers, certain skills and talents. So please do go to the website, see how you can, you know, might take whatever amount of time that you're going to contribute. David, you'll be able to speak to that a bit more. What time contributions would you expect from people who might be able to support young people on their journey?
Yeah, it could be that you are in a position where you can mentor one of our young people. You know, you're able to share your wisdom, your advice, and your knowledge to help our young people to get to the level up that they want to get to. Those conversations are life-changing. They are life-changing. I know they were for me when I was a young boy, and I was able to be mentored by somebody older than me, somebody wiser, somebody who could guide me on the right path. And if you're able to do that, then, you know, we're not talking hours and hours every week. It might be once a month, you spend an hour or so with somebody online, as it probably will be now, sharing your knowledge and wisdom, answering their questions, asking them questions as well, by mentoring and also by coaching them. Also, you may want to make a donation, even. So if you think about it, if you didn't buy a cup of coffee for a week, say for 5 days, that's a tenner. If you donated £10 to Westside, that would make a difference to the work that you know we do. And if 100 people donated a tenner, that makes a big difference. If 1,000 people donated a tenner, that makes a big difference. But also as well, one of the things we can do is it's just about promoting the work that we do. And you know, when you find yourself talking negatively about there isn't anything going on for our young people in our community, just remember Westside Young Leaders and the other organisations as well who are out there working tirelessly. So just remember Westside Young Leaders Academy. There are organisations out there who are working tirelessly in our community, and what they need is your support. That's what they need, is your support. To really make a difference and to have longevity, what they need is your support.
Awesome. I think realistically, if we look at it once again, and you know, this is for every individual to look into themselves. Now is a great time for it. Why? Well, if you think about it, we're not going anywhere. We're on lockdown. So people talking about, well, let's be serious. People talking about being bored, being monotonous, not having enough to do. An hour a month to invest in young people, and it also helps with mental health. I know that I gained so much from the work that I used to do over the years in the community. It changed me as well. You cannot do this type of work without it changing you.
That's right.
Without it uplifting you, without it bringing you through hard days. And going back to your thing about Costa coffee, some of us when we were out working, we were buying 2 coffees a day, 1 coffee a day. Right now, we're at home. If you're working from home. So you're not spending that money on coffee. So maybe a contribution of what you used to drink in terms of coffee might be worthwhile. Here's a little story I'm just going to share, and once again it's just for people to digest it as they will. As you remember, when I joined the 100, I didn't have any children, but for me that was an investment in advance, because I said to myself simply this: if I was going to have boys, my biggest concern would be actually the system and all that. It can navigate around it, but the system doesn't necessarily outrightly kill our young boys in the way that I was seeing was happening with other black boys at the time. So for me, it was a case of if I could contribute to helping some young black boys find their way, then potentially I was saving the lives of a future son. And that also, if I could contribute to young boys growing up, then in effect, if I had a girl, there'd be some decent men out there for her to find, and vice versa. If I'm working with these young girls, and there'd be some decent women for my boys to find. So sometimes we just got to think about the longer term. It's not enough for us to think, hey, I'm okay, because yes, we might be okay, but the impact might come from somewhere else. So it's just worth thinking about that. So if you can get behind it, do. And also,
even if you came into this from a selfish perspective, watching this to me, mentoring looks great on a TV. looks great on TV, regardless of what position you're in. If you can demonstrate that you've been a positive mentor, it looks fantastic on the TV and could give you a advantage over the competition by having that on your TV.
Great point you make there. So one of the things is, so many people will know about my background coming from criminal record and all those type of things to now work at corporate global level, and I work globally, right? And one of the key things which were the entry points and always have been, which always has worked in my favor, is that when they look at the past and say, well, hey, you had a kind of colourful past. Yes, I had a colourful past, but hey, I've spent many years paying it back by being involved in community programs, by supporting community programs and organisations like that. So if that can work for somebody like me, for somebody, most people are not coming from that type of background, as David said, it from a selfish point of view, it benefits you. But what I always say to people is I challenge you to get involved in any form of mentoring and not be changed by it yourself, right? Initially you might think, I've got to do this, but after a while you're going to be shocked and surprised at how much growth and how that connects with you as well. So once again, here's the email address if you want to contact with the Westside Young Leaders Academy, and also if you want to pick up the phone, you can contact them on this number right here. So we're coming to the end of the show. Thank you so much, David, for all your time. I know you're a busy person, taking your time for being with us. What one thought would you like to leave the audience with before we close?
It's a couple of things, really. I suppose one of the main things would be we all have a responsibility. Just to probably harken back to what I was saying before, but we all have a responsibility to help and support our young people. It's not anybody else's responsibility. It's our duty. And so you need to ask yourself, well, what contribution are you going to make? What is it you're going to do to really make a difference, to uplift our community, but in particular our young people? And the time for talking and complaining is over. The time for action is now. So that's my rallying cry to our community. Let's stop complaining and talking. Let's start having some action. And what is it that you're going to do about it, as opposed to pointing the finger at other people and expecting them to do it? Point the finger at yourself.
Yeah, I like that. And once again, to anybody who's watching it, this is not about also measuring yourself against anybody else.
That's right.
It's just about what little can you do. Just even a small bit, right? Even just a small bit. If all of us just did a little bit, like we said, we could have really a big impact. We could have a massive impact. But also just think about the potential in terms of the young people seeing us at least trying harder, right? Doing a bit more, right? And the impact it can have on the future. Many of us are parents, and by God's grace we'll become grandparents. So hey, don't think any of these challenges are gonna go away, right? We're gonna have to deal with it at different generational levels, and ideally we want to leave it a legacy which is actually, we can see, even if there are challenges, that those challenges are improving. But from some of the stuff that I'm hearing out in the community right now, sometimes it doesn't feel that way. Just putting it out there. But yes, thank you ever so much, David. Really appreciate your time.
No problem, brother.
Really appreciate it. And for all the listeners out there, so feel free to follow Circulate on YouTube. You can find us there. On Insta, Circulate the Black Pound, find there. And you can join our Facebook group and also like or follow our Facebook page, Circulate. Yeah, so there you go once again. So come to the end of the show. Once again, David, really appreciate all your hard work, the positive role model that you are, and for the time and everything that you shared with us tonight. May God continue to bless you, your family, and everything that you're doing. Give you more strength, and may you reap many blessings for all that you've given to the community.
Blessings to you and yours, brother.
Thank you very much. And to everybody listening out there, come to the end of the show. Once again, sorry for the technical difficulties at the beginning. Such is life, but life is also about adapting to change, and we got there in the end. And look forward to speaking or seeing you guys again soon. And until next time, all that's left to say is ciao, ciao, bella, whatever that means.